Hey there, welcome back to K-Korner, your go-to spot for wild, unbelievable, and absolutely true tales from around the globe. I'm your host, Crown, here to take you on another journey through the twists and turns of life's most fascinating stories. So grab your favorite snack, settle in, and let's dive into today's roller coaster of emotions, drama, and unexpected turns. Remember, if you enjoy our content, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more amazing stories. Let's get started. For context, this story takes place in a small rural town, and it's happened yesterday. These are the ones involved. Me, an overprotective sister of 163 centimeters, important for later. Ben, twin brother of 200 centimeters, a friendly giant. Friend 1 and 2, entitled mom, kid, police officer. It was a good day after a constant rainy week, so Ben and I decided to call both my friends to meet in the public park of our town to play Smash Bros. Ultimate the 4 together. And so it was. After midday we met. We paid for lunch between all of us and we sat in the shade of a tree, took out our switches and began to play quietly. Enter the entitled kid. We were in the middle of a very intense fight and this kid of a no more than 7 years old arrived in front of us and the conversation was the following. Wow, are these switches? That's right. You want to see us play? No, I want to play. Do you have a switch? If you have it with Smash, we can. The kid interrupts. I don't have one, but I can use one of yours. That isn't happening, kid. That's right, I'm sorry. Ben says it's very expensive to give like that. The kid leaves while pouting. After another 15 minutes of play, the entitled kid returned while we were finishing a team match and we were talking. Can you give me one to play now? He says. Friend 2 tells him, Kid, we told you no. Go play elsewhere. And again the kid left, and after another 10 minutes, we finished playing. So we started packing our things, Ben and I kept our switches and their protectors, and finally we said goodbye to our friends. Out of nowhere I hear Ben yell, Stop! By the time I saw him again, Ben was holding the kid by his hair because the kid was trying to steal Ben's switch. And obviously he started screaming like any 7-year-old that's being pulled from the hair would. Then from behind us, some screams worthy of a banshee could be heard throughout the park. It was the entitled mother. The entitled mother was in her 30s, was a bit of overweight and Karen's typical hairstyle and 180 centimeters. Ben recovered his switch and the entitled kid stayed on the floor, screaming as if he had broken an arm. How dare you hit my angel? The mother raised her arm, ready to slap Ben. Remember that Ben is a friendly giant? He closed his eyes and raised one of his arms to protect himself from the blow. Do you also remember that I said that I'm overprotective? Well, immediately I got between Ben and the entitled mother, catching her arm and preventing her from slapping Ben. I said, Your son was stealing Ben's switch. I'll kindly ask you to… She interrupts me. Get lost, witch. Yes, she called me a witch. And then with her other hand she tried to grab my hair to get me out of the way. But little did she know that both Ben and I were practicing Taekwondo for 5 years. It was easy to dodge her grab. I bent down and Ben moved back. Then I pushed my shoulder to the entitled mother, hitting her belly not very hard but enough to take her off me. What's your problem? You tried to hit my brother. You trash kid tried to steal my brother's console. And then you tried to hit me. Am I the one with the problem here? Ben tells me to calm down. I was in full sister mode. The entitled kid was still on the floor screaming. And that's where a police officer came. Apparently someone called. Stop you two. What's the problem? Mommy, I want my switch. These criminals stole my son's Nintendo and assaulted us. I say lies. That's Ben's switch. Arrest him, officer. One moment, please. He approached us. Can you prove that this console is yours? At that moment, both Ben and I smiled mischievously. Ben, take out the switch. It's already out. Here, officer. I'll turn on the portable Wi-Fi on my phone. Oh, it connected without asking for a password. The online store of the console has a password. Obviously, as the console is not ours, they should know it. Ben gave his switch to the officer, who after understanding our plan took the console to the entitled mother, who failed to put the password. And Ben made it at first try. The entitled kid says, He hit me. Is that true? Yes, but… That's it. Arrest him for assault. Close your mouth and let him talk. She starts to yell again, but the police officer says, Ma'am, please calm down. Young man, you can continue. As I said, I hit him. I had to grab him by the hair as he tried to steal my console. Ma'am, I'll have to arrest you for theft and disturbing the peace. Red of fury, the entitled mother launched herself at me to hit me, to which I simply took a small leap to the side and left my foot in her bath. The entitled mother ended up falling to the ground face first, and the officer immobilized her on the ground. I say, threaten me or my brother again and the next one will be worse for you. I said it in a cold tone while the officer was taking her to the police car. The officer told us that another unit would come to take us home. And that was a story of how we went out with friends, played Smash, and went home in a police car. The entitled mother was arrested, and after that no more was heard about her. So this happened to my friend's older brother months ago. I don't remember all the details, but I do have permission to post it here. The cast friend's older brother, my friend, the dad, I'm just going to call him entitled dad, the kid, employee, and two really nice officers. The story. My friend and his older brother had just left school and my friend wanted Tim Hortons. So they went and parked the car in the parking lot. They went inside and got their food. They ate inside because his older brother met some of his friends there and hung out with them. My friend just sat with them. As they were eating, and dad and his kid, the kid looked about 16 or 17, entered the parking lot in a really old and rusty car. They parked next to my friend's older brother's car, and as they got out, they started looking around as if anyone was watching. I should mention that his older brother has a pretty new car, a 2018 I think Honda Civic. The dad is looking inside while the kid is checking if the doors are unlocked. At this moment, my friend saw what was going on outside and told my friend's older brother. They rushed outside and asked the dad and kid what they were doing, and the conversation went a bit like this. The older brother says, "Hey, what are you doing?" "I'm just looking at this car. What do you want?" "That's my car." "I have a great idea, kid. How about we trade cars? I can have yours and you can have mine. You don't need such a nice new car. If you want a new car so bad, just buy one yourself." "Yo, Dad, look. That's a really expensive looking watch in there." "Get away from my car. You cannot have it. And go away before I call the police. I'm an adult and you have to listen to me. Have your parents never taught you any manners?" At this point, an employee came out to see what the shouting was about. "What's going on here?" "This kid is trying to steal my car. He says he wants a new car and his parents won't buy one for him. He tried to take my car so he can have a new one." And this is where all my friend's older brother's friends said that that's not true. The older brother said he can prove that the car is his and the dad is lying. He showed his employee the car keys and took out the paperwork saying the car is his. The employee saw everything he needed to see and called the cops. The whole time the dad and son were denying it and saying my friend's older brother stole the car keys and that the paperwork was fake. When the police showed up, the dad and son realized and tried to run. We stopped them and the police quickly came to help. The police checked the security cameras of the Tim Hortons and looked at my friend's older brother paperwork. After about 20 minutes of investigation, the dad and son were arrested. I'm not going to share all the legal details, but after everything, the dad got a few months in jail and the son had to do community service. Thankfully, it didn't escalate to any violence and my friend laughs about it now. I forgot the part where they damaged the car after the employee went inside and called the cops. My friend's older brother tried to stop him, but it didn't work. They scratched the whole side and dented it pretty badly before they could stop him. The older brother and his friends helped them to stop them from any further damage. I was typing this late at night and completely forgot this part accidentally. This happened way back in the dark ages, 1986. I was 21 at the time and working for a gas station that was associated with a certain grocery store chain in Washington state. It was owned by a company not affiliated with said chain, but had locations at nearly every one. As this was long before the days of debit cards, this was a cash-only gas station. We didn't even take credit cards. Customers would pull up, pump their gas, and then come to my window to pay. We also sold cigarettes. No drinks, no snacks. Customers couldn't even get into my booth. I had been working there about a year when the company announced it was closing the location. My manager and I were offered positions at another location upstate, and we both accepted. We moved our respective families and started our new jobs as new hires. The station was incredibly busy. We did more business in 8 hours than my old location would do in a week. This location also had a different setup. Here, you will pull into the station from a single entrance, pump your gas, and then drive forward to a single exit where the Pay Here booth was located. There were always two cashiers on duty. Each cashier had a cash drawer. One thing I should note, there were also no computers, so closing the drawer down between shifts was time-consuming and tedious. We had to manually count the cigarettes remaining and count the cash drawers. We would fill out an end-of-shift report listing the starting balances and the ending balances. We also had to list the gallons sold from each pump. At the end of the shift, the total of gallons sold and the total cigarettes sold should equal the cash balance. It's important to note here that not once in a year I had worked for the previous location had I been off by more than 10 cents. The following morning after my first shift, I was informed by the manager that I was short $50. Impossible, I said. I balanced out yesterday. He said that I must have stolen that money after I had completed the paperwork. I just looked at him and said, no, I didn't. He gave me a verbal warning and said if it happened again, I will be fired and the stolen money will be deducted from my paycheck this week. In the 5 days that followed, I realized quickly the manager was up to something. My old manager, who was just another worker now, was also accused of stealing, as was one other new employee. I can't vouch for the other employee, but I'm pretty sure she did nothing wrong. The employees that have been there a while were never accused of anything. I did some checking and found out this manager was relatively new, had only been there about 6 months, and the other cashiers had been here before him. Only new cashiers were being accused of stealing, and that location had been having stealing problems for about 6 months, and the turnover was high with the new employees. I came to work at 6 a.m. on a Monday only to be told I was being fired. The manager accused me of taking $500 out of my drawer the previous Friday. He said he only discovered it this morning, even though he had worked Saturday and Sunday. I said okay and left. I was pretty angry and instead of going home, I parked in the grocery store parking lot and proceeded to settle in to watch the gas station. I knew that at 9 a.m. sharp, he would take the cash in the safe and make the weekend deposit. At 9 a.m., he left the gas station and headed to the bank. But instead of walking into the bank, he walked into the Indian casino next door. It's not really a casino like we think of today, but more of a betting parlor for the races. It did have slot machines, but no card tables. I think, well, this is interesting. He comes out of the casino at exactly 10 a.m., walks next door to the bank, does his business, and then heads back to the gas station. I head home with a plan. Every morning I follow him from the gas station to the casino. I take a picture of him leaving and one of him arriving at the bank and walking into the casino. I take pictures of him coming out and then heading to the bank. I do this for 5 days straight. He even went on Saturday. On day 3, my old manager was fired for stealing $150. I get the film developed, not digital camera in the dark ages, note the times and dates on the back of each one. Then I call the main office of the gas station. It's after 5, but I'm hoping someone is there. And there is. I speak to a woman and explain my situation and she says she knows exactly who I should speak to and transfers me. By some grace of God, she has transferred me to none other than the president/CEO of the company. I tell him my story and tell him that I did not steal from his company and could prove who actually did that. He took down my information and said he would be in touch. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, right. The next morning I went to the station to perform my usual observation of the manager. At 9 a.m. he leaves for the bank and at 10 a.m. he comes out. At that moment, 2 stern-looking gentlemen approach him. One pulls out his wallet and shows him something. The other one is talking. The manager goes pale and takes a step back. Next thing I know, he is being escorted to a car I hadn't noticed and they drive off. I lose them in a traffic signal, so I head back to the station. They all show back up after 5 minutes later, and a few minutes after that a police cruiser pulls in. The officer talks to the stern gentleman and proceeds to place the manager in handcuffs. The other man says nothing but is glaring daggers at the manager. The president called me later that afternoon and informed me that the manager had been arrested for embezzlement. Turns out that in 6 months he had managed to steal about $5,000. He would take the store cash into the casino and gamble with it. If he won, he would make the normal bank deposit. If he lost, he would make the deposit and note in his records that we had been short in the previous days. The CEO had already been focusing on that location because of the stealing and high turnover rate. but my information helped them figure out what exactly had been going on. I was thanked and sent a substantial check as a reward. My old manager was offered the manager's job and I was offered my old job back. I declined as I had already found another job that I liked more and paid better. The gambling manager was sentenced to 1 year in jail and ordered to attend counseling for his gambling addiction. His wife divorced him and took their 3 children to California. His house was foreclosed on and he ended up in a homeless shelter. Don't accuse me of stealing because I will get revenge. I, 16 female, have been friends with Elise and Eleanor, also 16 females, ever since 5th grade. We were a trio and didn't talk to other people in our grade very much. Pretty unusual because we go to a very small school. This summer I went to MA to visit my aunt. She owns a small jewelry store and I bought 3 matching necklaces for our friend group. I plan to give it to them for Christmas. This year a new girl, Rosalie, moved to our area and started going to the school we attended. She was very nice and unexpectedly joined our friend group. We all liked her very much as she seemed kind and funny. Her birthday is 4 days after Christmas, so I went shopping and got her a lot of stuff. Typically more than I usually give for birthdays because she was easy to buy for and because I wanted to make sure she got stuff to make up for not getting one of the matching necklaces. I gave them to her the day before break and she thanked me a lot and told me how much she loved the gifts. I considered not giving my friends the necklaces because I didn't want her to feel left out, but I spent a lot on the necklaces and have been waiting to give them to Elise and Eleanor since August. So I gave them the necklaces. I told them to not talk about them in front of Rosalie so she wouldn't feel excluded. They agreed, and even if Rosalie noticed, I thought it would be fine because she was so nice and she would understand. At lunch that day, Rosalie came up to us and got really angry because of the necklaces. I tried telling her that I got them before I knew her and I couldn't get another because they were from Massachusetts. She told us that was just an excuse and that if we really were friends with her, I would have never given them the necklaces or I would have asked my aunt to send another in the mail or something like that. She also said that I was cheap for trying to give her bad presents to make her not notice that she didn't get a necklace. I was getting a bit annoyed at her and said she was sensitive. And Eleanor said we've only been friends for 3 months and that it was just a necklace, and Rosalie stormed away. Elise called after her saying that she was glad I hadn't gotten her a necklace because she wasn't our friend anyway. I feel like all of this is really childish and stupid, but I'm starting to feel a bit bad because about the whole necklace thing and about what Elise, Eleanor and I said to her. Am I the jerk? And now with some comments on the post, someone saying, not the jerk. You've known them for 5 years and got the necklaces before you even met Rosalie. If I was in her shoes, I would have felt a little awkward, but I wouldn't get mad at you, especially considering that you spent more money on gifts than you normally do for Rosalie's birthday. You asked your friends to not talk about the necklaces in front of her. You put in considerable effort to not make her feel excluded. Also on the absolute entitlement and other aspects of nonsense, and if we were really friends, you would have gotten me one or not given them to anyone. Well, that's not how a relationship works. Gifts are nice, but they are not necessary. My partner and I don't get each other expensive gifts. Doesn't mean we don't love each other. You're not going to get someone you've known for 3 months the same kind of gifts you would get for your best friends of 5 years. It doesn't take a genius to understand it's not personal. Another commenter adds, not the jerk, you 3 has been friends for what, 6 years? That's quite a long time. And you wanting to give the matching necklaces is very sweet and will most likely be a very nice memorabilia of your use once you are a bit older. Meanwhile, Rosalie had been your friend for 3 months and still got presents from you. Just not the ones tailored for what sounds like your best friends, or at least something close to your best friends. And she threw out the whole friendship like a dirt rag in response on top of being ungrateful. Honestly, just ask for the presents back if she keeps bugging you about it after the semester starts. That should probably shut her up or make her stay away afterwards. Wow, what a ride that was! Thanks for joining me here at K-Korner. I hope these stories left you amazed and entertained. If you've got your own tale to share, drop it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our daily adventures. This is Crown, signing off.